Om Namaste. Guru, what is the tradition of Atma-vichara? All Sanatana Dharma is impregnated with Atma-vichara. We can say there is only one tradition. There are a lot of such traditions. The one we follow is the tradition of Vasishtha, Dattatreya. The tradition that comes from Shiva, the tradition of Sri Shankaracharya, the tradition of Guru Brahmananda. All Hinduism, all Sanatana Dharma, in a varying degree, is impregnated with Atma-vichara. In fact, the practice of Sanatana Dharma means the practice of Atma-vichara. Eventually, the whole culture of Sanatana Dharma, religious, ceremonial side, and mantras revolve around Atma-vichara as the center of awareness. What do we practice Atma-vichara for? Well, it's a good question. To wake up. If you want to sleep, you don't need Atma-vichara. But if you want to wake up to realize the Absolute, to realize God, to transcend the circle of birth and death, you can't do it without Atma-vichara. Still, the precious human birth is not given to us for no special reason. It's given to make us realize the divine wisdom, to surpass karma, and finally to get out of our limitations. Those who seek for liberation, enlightenment, samadhi, everyone who wishes to become a saint should practice Atma-vichara. All saints of the future follow this way, as well as the saints of the present. It's impossible to attain liberation not following this way. Another question we need to understand: do we seek for liberation or for samsara? Do we seek for illusions or awakening and enlightenment? When we answer these questions in the right way, we can immediately say we need Atma-vichara. But Atma-vichara is not what we speak for. Atma-vichara is what we practice. All people in the world can be divided into two categories: those who practice Atma-vichara and those who don't, regardless of tradition or religion. Who can practice this method? The one who has an ability of self-discipline, yogic self-control of mind, energy, who is a disciple of his guru, who is acquainted with the Vedic culture. Atma-vichara itself is supranational, international, not attached particularly to any culture or religion. It's something really imperceptible, very subtle, when we examine the nature of our consciousness, but it comes from the Vedic culture. Atma-vichara does not exist in the Celtic culture, Egyptian culture, in the Asian Slavic culture. In the Anglo-Saxon culture, Atma-vichara is a unique tradition of the Vedic culture. It means we should join this culture to make our practice of Atma-vichara easy. Of course, a person from the West, even if he isn't involved in the Vedic culture, can practice too. But it will be more difficult, because Atma-vichara exposes such depth where we need support. The support includes master, chosen deity, ethics and culture, like a distinctive flavor, special bloom of Sanatana Dharma, the spirit of Samaya, Guru Bhaya, spiritual brothers and sisters, the Sangha, the community of practitioners, the strong support of the saints, the tree of refugee, that is the entire pantheon of deities and saints. It is very important to have such support, so everyone can practice Atma-vichara. But to be happy and successful on the way of Atma-vichara, the one needs to establish a connection with the Vedic culture. What is the essence of this method? The crux of this method is simple. You need to focus on the feeling I am. and to keep this feeling inside. You need to cut off any thoughts, tendencies of your mind which arise, if they interfere with keeping a sense of I am. That is like self-remembering. Gurdjieff, in his days, gave disciples this method, calling it a technique self-remembering. In the Vedic tradition of Atma-vichara, Atma means the supreme soul, the absolute essence. Vichara means research. We need to penetrate deeply into the nature of self, then go beyond the boundaries of it, and discover the transcendental consciousness, Brahman. All our life is divided by the practice of Atma-vichara. There is time when we are unconsciousness, and there is time when we hear about it and begin to practice it, as well as Shri Ramana Maharshi. At the moment when we remembered ourselves, realized ourselves, focusing on the feeling I am deep inside, and begin to hold it, this is the beginning of our practice of Atma-vichara. There is a wonderful book of Shri Ramana Maharshi, Be As You Are, which I recommend to all beginners as the ABC of Atma-vichara. And of course, Atma-vichara should begin with the study of Advaita Vedanta, because Atma-vichara is practiced in the context of the Vedic tradition, notably Advaita Vedanta. After we have studied Advaita Vedanta, we start to practice. And here you should try to get inside. Eyes closed or open, it's not so important. And discover Aham Vritti, I am thought. After you have found it, you need to single it out as the most important. There are other thoughts, but Aham Vritti, I am thought, is the most important. That's the thought which will lead you to the center of the cyclone, to the very essence of life, to the absolute. As the dog recognizes the smell of the owner, you follow the Aham Vritti and penetrate into your immortal godlike nature. However, it should be done under the guidance of your spiritual teacher. Development of the subtle contours of consciousness, discovery of the divine levels of consciousness is a really difficult task. The practice is simple, but the process is complicated. At the moment, right now, you can try to realize yourself. Self-awareness means Atma-vichara. Right now, you remember yourself or don't. Check yourself. You either realize I am, or your mind is distracted by something. Test yourself. This is the beginning of practice of Atma-vichara. Guru, how to carry out the practice of Atma-vichara exactly? What are the main points of this practice? How exactly? Concentrate on the feeling I am. When thoughts arise, hold the feeling I am. Your mind will try to drag you away, but you must draw your mind back to the feeling I am, convince it to concentrate on the feeling, like a doggy trying to pull its owner host to different directions. You should pull your mind back. You should keep this inner center that is connected with Aham Vritti. Aham means I am, Vritti thought, that is I am thought. And I am thought is such a door or such a passage that will lead us to the feet of divine. Everything is not ending with I am thought, but it will begin here. This is the start, like it's not the finish line. The finish is Brahman, the Absolute. This is the start, we must begin with I am thought. If you decide to practice Atma-vichara, you need to get a transfer from your master, receive a blessing for the practice. Study well the theory, the method itself. Then you can take the internal commitment to practice it 1 year at least. How it can be practiced? You can do 3 sessions of meditation of Atma-vichara a day. In the morning, 30 minutes, 30 minutes in the evening, in the afternoon, 30 minutes, hour or 15 minutes, depends on your possibilities. 3 times a day, small sessions will be enough. But between them, throughout the day, while moving, walking, eating, talking, you should continue to practice it without distractions. You should fight with distractions. The whole life will be divided into 2 halves. I am distracted, or I practice Atma-vichara. You should catch the line where it passes, where the beginning of distraction is, and where you are in wisdom and self-exploration. Practice this way for a year. A year later, come to your master to share the results. Adjust your practice and learn what to do, how not to make mistakes, how to deepen your practice. I was carrying out the practice by myself in retreat for about 3 years and about 12 years beyond that. Now I also continue to practice, although it significantly deepened and evolved. We start the practice of Atma-vichara, but it cannot be ended. It has no end. It is a process that leads us to eternity and infinity, the process which connects you with God.